the largest population of Muslims are not Arabs.
Right.
The largest population of Muslims are Indonesian. There's
Yes.
213 million Muslims in Indonesia.
Right.
You only have 25 million people, I believe, in Saudi Arabia, or the Arab, what they call the Hijaz, the Arabian area, the UAE, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, those countries. So the great majority of Muslims are in Asia.
Yeah.
And they speak Arabic when it comes to,
prayer.
because all of us, including myself, I'm a teacher of Arabic, but all Muslims, I don't care which country you live in, which part of the world you're in, what unites us, I'm glad you raised that, because what unites us, and I'm sure it's true in the Jewish tradition, is we have to worship in the language of the Quran, our prayers are Quranic prayers, which are Arabic. So I don't care if you're from Pakistan, Malaysia, Indonesia, Bermuda, Jacksonville, Dallas, Texas, New York, Sydney, Australia, France, Germany, every mosque you walk into, I was in Guangzhou, China, Yiwu, China, it didn't matter where you go at, Tanzania, where was that, in Zanzibar, and I walk into the mosque, everybody prays in the same language.
Yeah. I've had the same experience, whether it's in Azerbaijan or in Tanzania, in Kenya, wherever it is in the world, Jews are praying in Hebrew. However, in America particularly, since that's my most familiar experience outside of Israel, there is a lot of reformation of the prayer book. So you'll have people saying, look, my parents understood this language, or my grandfather did. My parents prayed in it, but I'm alienated by it or from it. So I'm going to say certain prayers in Hebrew, but then we're going to integrate English into the prayer service in the same way that the Catholic Church went through the same thing. They had the Latin Mass, and then they said we need to translate it, make it more relevant, or at least integrate more of the local language. Is that happening in Islam as well?
No.
Okay.
No, you can't. Now, for what's allowed, I teach an Arabic class on Sundays, and I've been teaching Arabic classes for 30, 40 years, maybe. For our formal, what we call salat, S-A-L-A-T, formal salat, so we make a distinction. There's what we call dua, supplication, prayers in general, and such as your prayers before you eat, the prayers before you go to bed. These are the Bismillah, with God's name. But for our, what is known, the language would be canonical 5 daily prayers. All of those salats, which includes the standing up, the formal prayer, the prostration, the bowing, must be done in Arabic across the globe.
When you talk about Shiaism as an ism, a movement, what does it entail that's different from normative Islam, or I'll call it Sunni Islam?
It depends on which country you're in. For example, Iraq, where our professor was from, Iran, where these brothers were from, my friends, and let's see, I could delicately say this, extremism, mysticism, mysteries, more, and I actually said this to one of the scholars. He allowed me. I offered him my advice when he was there in Dallas, and I was in one of the workshops, and they were talking about Imam Ali, Hussein, and Hassan, the grandsons of Prophet Muhammad. And so I rarely heard anything about Prophet Muhammad. So I'm sitting there listening to this, and they put more emphasis, to answer your question, they put more emphasis on Ali. He should have been the caliph as opposed to Abu Bakr, because he was a blood relative of Muhammad the Prophet, married to his daughter Fatima. But the Quran, and they know this, the learned ones, this is political, because in Islamic history, there were battles between Aisha's army and Ali's army. You familiar with this history?
Yes.
Because of politics. They wanted, and they thought, now this is Arab culture, they thought that the person who should be the first caliph was the one with the bloodline to the prophet. which was Ali. But the Quran says Muhammad is not the father of any of your men. His sons passed. So he didn't leave anybody to inherit the prophethood. But that's how the Shiites think. And so when I was at the conference and I'm hearing this, so I had the opportunity to speak with one of the scholars from Iran. And I told him I enjoyed the presentation, which I did. I said, do you mind if I offer my humble advice? Because some of the brothers introduced me. This is Imam Yahya from Dallas, Texas. He's our friend, so-and-so. He said, yes, please. What are your advice, your suggestions? I said, listen, first let me ask you a question. I said, if Imam Ali, God rest his soul, and he later became the Caliph, the fourth one, I said, if he was alive today, would he encourage you to follow him or Muhammad the Prophet? And he paused. He said, Prophet Muhammad. I said, if his sons, the Prophet's grandsons, Hussein and Hassan, were living, would they say follow them, their father, or their grandfather, Muhammad the Prophet? They said Prophet Muhammad. I said, so my advice is admonish and remind your listeners to give more attention to the direction and instructions of Muhammad the Prophet than Ali and his grandchildren. And they accepted that. Chapter 49, verse 13. O mankind, we have made you of the pairing of the single parent, male and female, and made you into different nations and tribes, shu'uban wa qaba'ila, in order that you might, lita'arafu, get to know one another, not hate and despise one another. Verily, God is aware of everything you do. So that chapter and verse for Muslims, everybody all over the world, we're told we were made into these various groups, these various ethnicities, various nations, various societies, so we can get to know one another, learn from each other. And that word, lita'arafu, there's a ritual during the Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca, where the pilgrims go and they go to the site, the plains of Arafat. And Arafat literally means to know, to be informed. And on Arafat, as a part of the concluding ritual for the Hajj, the pilgrimage, there you find people from all over the world, and we have the opportunity to interact with our fellow men and fellow brothers across the globe of every different nationality you can think of. But this expands out to different religious communities, not just Muslims, that God has made us different so we can benefit from each other. We can learn from each other's customs, traditions, cultures. We can learn. It expands our knowledge base in our minds, not to use it to beat each other across the head, batter each other, and hate each other. No, but again, man and his ego, influenced by what we call in Islam, shaitan, Satan, or the devil. I was talking to one of my, I don't know if it was one of my grandsons or granddaughters, and they were sounding a little drained in their spirit. And I said, listen, so I used the phone as an example. I said, okay, you have that cell phone. Yes. When the power is going out on the cell phone, what do you have to do? Well, I have to go charge it, plug it up. I said, exactly. So when your soul is being drained, you have to plug it into the power source. And it's not those sockets on the wall.
Yeah.
It's prayer. It's scripture. It's reflection. You have to power up. God created your soul. He knows what is needed for that soul to stay energized. So you need to cut the device off and plug into the real power source for your soul and your mind. They understood it.
Yeah, that's a great way to explain it. I think about the fact that these phones, that aren't really phones, that's the least of what it does. If you keep recharging and going on a little power and recharging and going on a little power and never giving it time to fully charge,
Fully charged.
its ultimate life is shortened and depleted.